right. Um, Thank you so much for joining today's class. So today we'll be looking at the part two of what we started the last time, talking about getting started with attack simulator training. So the last time we are able to look at things around the overview of the attack simulation training, talking about availability in terms of the licensing and requirements. So I mentioned that it is available for Defender for Office 365 Plan 2, or if you have Microsoft 365 E5, then you can also, if you don't have the license, you can Microsoft give us opportunity to actually try out a 90 days trial for Defender for Office 365 Plan 2. Then with the trial, we'll be able to do the training. You have 90 days for it. And the goal of the attack simulation training is to prepare users for real attack, protect all our organizations bottom line. Then we mentioned that for on-premises mailboxes, you have emails on premises, maybe you're not fully on cloud or hybrid. So there's actually support for on-premises mailbox, but it has reduced functionality. Then we mentioned about how to navigate to the attack simulator on training by going into our security center, and from the security center under emails and collaboration, that is talking about Defender for Office 365 session of the Defender portal, be able to go there. So you're currently in the Defender portal. If you open up displayed email and collaboration, so attack simulation training is the second to the last that we have. Then we mentioned some security recommendations around using rules with fewer permissions. Then that if you need to use the global administrator role, you should actually limit it to emergency situations. Then for emails and collaboration permission, adding users to the role group is not supported. And for the Microsoft Defender XDR Unified RBAC, it is also not currently supported. Then talking about the required permission, mentioned that for users to be able to access this attack simulation training, the users will either need to be assigned a global administrator, which is actually the super user that has full access to all settings and features. Then or the user is assigned a security administrator, which manages security related features and settings, or the user is assigned an attack simulation administrator to be able to create and manage attack simulation campaigns. Then an attack payload author to create attack payload for admin initiation. Then we mentioned that simulation in attack simulation training is the overall campaign that delivers realistic but harmless phishing messages to the users. And we look at some elements of the attack simulation, talking about the recipients and schedules, which you're going to see in our demo today. Then training based on users action. So you can see a training tab here. So we'll talk about that today as well. Then I'm talking about the payload and the message compositions. So I think inside the simulation, we'll be able to see it used to have a tab itself here, the payload, but it has moved to under automations where we have simulation automation and payload automation, but we still have payloads on its own also. Then we talk about different social engineering techniques, right? That are actually related to which actually there is a relationship between the payload and the techniques. We mentioned credential harvest, because we click on simulation here, see different social engineering campaign. If you click on launch a simulation, so we'll see different types of campaign that we can actually create. So you have the credential harvest, you have the malware attachments, you have the links in attachments, links to malware, drive-by URL, then the OAuth consent grant. So we actually explained that in the last class, so I'm not going to go into them again. Then we spoke about landing pages in simulations, right? And the types of landing pages that are available. Also, the end user notification is also an area that we also look at as well in our last training. Then we look at built-ins and custom payloads that are also available for us. Now, let me cancel this to go back to overview. Then we talk about login pages, right? Both login pages, the default one, then how to create login page. Then we mentioned things around payload automation as well, the last class, then QR code payloads, then how to monitor simulations progress. Talking about tracking simulation description, analyzing all the participant actions, then looking at training completions. Then we mention things around available reports and analytics. So we're going to also look at that. Then understanding PCR, predicted compromise rate, also was also what we mentioned. Then talking about the PCR data itself, the availability of the PCR information, then the reports featuring PCR information. Then we concluded by looking at how-to guide, which is not actually a social engineering technique. Rather, it actually provides a lightweight learning experiences, and it is accessible directly in the user's inbox. Then the QR code training option as well, which was actually what we discussed on the last class. So today we'll be going into our demo for our attack simulation. So for the demo, we'll be starting with how do we actually create the attack simulator itself. So first of all, let's start from the overview. So the moment you actually, let me go back home in the Defender portal, yeah, and you go to email and collaboration blade, and from there you select the attack simulation training. Those are the steps. So the landing page you're going to actually get you is what we call the overview page. Now, what is available for us in the overview page? First of all, we'll see overview around recent simulations. So I actually, did some simulations recently, and they were showing here. So if you've not done any simulation at all in the tenant, you're not going to see anything here. So I just named them attack simulation 1, attack simulation 2, and then the type of the simulation they are, credential harvest and malware attachment. And this shows the status of the simulation. It's currently in progress. So if it was done now, this status will actually show done. By the time we go into that, we're going to see that. Then the next thing you're going to see is recommendations from Microsoft. So recommendations are based on, since Microsoft is the one that is incorporating this product into the Defender for Office 365. So what are some of the simulation that you can try, right? So Microsoft is recommending that for you based on your environment, right? And based on maybe what is currently happening. So Microsoft recommend like top 4. So I think you have about 5 years. So creating another simulation with these techniques, right? So there are things that Microsoft, there are AI and machine learning models I've seen, and it's providing recommendation for you. Now, if you come down a bit here, so you see simulation coverage. Now, simulation coverage speaks to the users, right? How many users have been simulated in the past, then how many users, right, have not been simulated. That's what this simulation coverage actually talks. We click on this, so we can actually launch simulations for non-simulated users. And if you want to view the reports by clicking on this, so this will actually give you more information about users, right, that has been simulated. It's telling me that I have 47 simulated users and 25 non-simulated users here. So give me the list of the users, their names, their email address, as well as some other details about the number of simulations and the likes, right? Count of clicks is anything that has happened. So that is the other part of the overview. Then it talks about training completions, right? So if there were trainings that were being assigned, right, to users, or maybe after a simulation has been done and any of the users, click on the links or the attachments, and the user was fetched. So training will automatically be assigned to such users. So if there are users that have completed any of the training, it's going to give you data here. So at the moment I'm seeing 47 incomplete training because trainings has actually been sent out to the users and the users have not completed them. So this will change based on the data that is available. So if users in the tenants have completed the training, they will be able to you see this value. And you can also view training completion report by clicking on that, and that will take you to the training completion reports. So you see, okay, what are the training that are currently being assigned? You have to see it, and for which of the users you see that under this. Then the next part of this training, which is actually an interesting part for me, is repeated offenders. So let's say in the organization, like my own organization now, we run a tax simulation once every quarter. So that means three every month and four in a year, right? So if there are users in the organizations, right, that when you run the training, the tax simulation training in the first quarter, and those users were actually, they click on the link or they downloaded, they click on the attachment. The second quarter, you did the same simulation again. Then we have some of those users also, they still click on it. So this will give us list of all those repeated offenders. So you'll be able to ask those users. So from there, you're able to know these are the users that are actually, if any phishing attempt, is happening, a real phishing attempt is happening, that there is likelihood that those users, will click on those links. So if there's a need for you to create a dedicated training for such users, create specialized training for such users, so you'll be able to, use this data to actually, know such users. So if you click on that view repeated offenders, so that will still give you the data of those users. You can easily export it. So if you need to share with the HR team, or if you need to share with the management team, you can share it and they will make their decision based on that particular information that you have shared. Then here we have users behavior impact on them compromise rates. So because I've not done really, this is not a production environment, so to speak, it's just like a test environment. So it tells me that I have users that are less susceptible to phishing. So there are some users that that these users are always at alert when there's an email, you'll be able to see them. So since the actual compromise rate is 0%, then the predicted compromise rate is sitting as 20%. Then for the other 40%, so if I click on that, so that will give me training efficacy for the users. So based on the number of simulations I've done, so it's going to give me some informations around it for that. So those are the things that are available for us under the overview page, right? And this tells us, so you say attack simulation training lets you run benign cyber attack simulations on your organization to test your security policies and practices. So if you click on this, learn more about attack simulation. So this will typically take us to a URL where we have informations about the attack simulation training itself. All right, let's go back. So let's go to simulation, which is the next tab here. So like I mentioned earlier, a simulation is the overall campaign that delivers realistic but harmless phishing messages to users. And the basic elements around this are, first, who gets the simulated phishing message and on what schedule? Because when you create a simulation, you have to create a schedule. And what are the trainings that the users will get based on their action or lack of action, or for both correct and incorrect actions, right, on the simulated phishing message. Then the payload that you're going to use, in the simulated phishing message could be a link or an attachment, and the composition of the phishing emails, right? For example, now, package delivered, problem with your account, or you want a price. So those are the things. And the last is the social engineering techniques, right? That is used. So the payload and the social engineering techniques are actually closely related. So for this, if I click on launch a simulation, right? So what is going to open is going to open a simulation wizard. And for the simulation wizard, we are able to see different type of social engineering techniques, that can be used. We actually have the credential harvest, in which an attacker sends the recipient a message that contains a link. And when the recipient clicks on the link, they are taken to a website that typically shows a dialog box that asks the user for their username and password. So typically, the destination page is themed to represent a well-known website in order to build up trust for the user. So if you click on view details of credential harvest here, so for every of the techniques, this is actually common to them. So if you notice, for each of these techniques, you are seeing this view detail. So the view detail is basically going to give you detail of that particular social engineering techniques. Let's see for malware attachment, for example. Now, so this is the social engineering techniques, which is a malware attachment. So for this now, it says there's a Microsoft landing page. This is how it's going to look like to the users that actually receive the email, right? And the target techniques goal, it tells you the goal of this particular simulation is to open attachment. And in terms of description, say in this type of techniques, a malicious actor creates a message with an attachment added to the message. So when the target opens the attachment, typically some arbitrary code such as a micro will execute in order to help the attacker. So it tells the steps of the simulation. Step 1, talking about users open the email payload. Step 2, users open the attachment in the email. Then step 3, the code runs from within the attachment. And for this malware attachment, if you click on this learn about the MITRE technique, it tell you what that technique is all about. So it's going to open MITRE attack page for you to be able to see details about that particular information. So let's select for credential harvest. Once you select the particular social engineering techniques, you can just say next here. So here you can now name the simulation. So for best practices, right? So sometimes because we'll get to a state that will say target users. We'll get to a state that will say target users. Sometimes you can create a simulation, right? That will be across the organizations. Under the target, you're going to see that the reason I'm just mentioning is because of the name of simulation, right? So let's say I want to create a simulation now. The simulation, I actually want to target my cybersecurity team, my InfoSec team, since they are the custodian of this information security. I want to be sure that all the users in that department, our cybersecurity team, are also well informed about the training they're even giving others, right? So I can just say the simulation name, I want to target InfoSec team, right? So I can put this section is optional, but I can just copy and paste it because I want to actually test these people that are also, sending us simulations every time. Are they also, enlightened just the same way they expect us to be enlightened? So now for payloads now. So payload simply talks about how the emails, right, is going to look at how the emails will look basically for whatever you are creating, the emails that will be sent to the users, right? So although attack simulation training contains many built-in payloads, right, for available social engineering techniques, and you can create a custom payload, right? Or you can also decide to say, okay, let me just use the built-in payloads that are available, and you can even copy and customize an existing payload, That's when you don't want to create a custom payload from scratch. You can actually, copy a particular payload and, use it. So let me say, since I'm targeting our InfoSec team, so you can just look for any of this payload here. So it tells me the number of payload I have. I have 40 payload under global payload. Then for tenants payload, I currently do not have any tenants payload here, but I have the option to create this. Let me go back to the global payload here. So another thing that you have to be mindful of in Microsoft solutions is this filter. So what does this filter do, right? Filter help you to actually streamline the attack, right? Now, first of all, the attack simulation I'm creating under language, I want it is English because all the users I'm targeting is English. So in a situation whereby you're working with a multinational organizations, you have company in Germany, in the Netherlands, in France, even in China. So you can select the languages here. So this tells you, okay, and any payload that is in any of this language, right? You can select it. Then in terms of source, I want this to be from the global, right? So if I apply this, what it's going to do is only the simulations that are in English that is going to bring for me. So what I can see is 17 items. So it has dropped from 40 items to 17 items. Then I can even drill down further. The idea is just to help me, right, as the admin, because I'm trying to target the payload. Now, if in situation whereby I want to target the entire organization, I don't need to start, filtering. The filtering is just to help me. Now, there's something I'm trying to do. I'm trying to target a particular group of people, right? So I can say, let me still go down. So I have different part of filter. I have source. Source could be from global, tenant, or all. In terms of complexity, high, medium, or low. Then I have for languages, I even have option to even search because languages are much here. So I have the option to just search for the language you want here. But I've seen my English already. Then I want to search the themes of the payload. I want the payload to be around either account activations, account verification, billing, or anything at all. But I want it to be something around security. So let me select security update and apply this filter. Let me see how many payloads it's going to bring for me. So I don't currently have any payload from that. So let me filter back and remove that particular security update. Then brand, famous brand that's, if somebody receive an email from Netflix, for example, a lot of people use Netflix. So they will actually, somebody that is a Netflix subscriber, for example, now, and use the Netflix payload, for example, now that, oh, there's a discount from Netflix for you for your next month because now, this November now, you start hearing Black Friday. Black Friday is coming. So that's actually a very good time to even test out, which I would advise organizations to even test out, some of the payload that have to do with Black Friday on their employees to see what we're going to fall for such. Then for industry, right? So you can select any of the industry. Let me select IT industry for you and apply. Let me see. It's going to give me something. So it has streamlined it for me to 6. So out of this 6 now, what I needed is because I'm targeting the security team, so you can see office-wide security policy settings. So let me select this and click on next, right? But before doing that, now under here, it's telling me the payload name. So this is a payload name that Microsoft has configured. Now, because I've configured the language, I've filtered the language, right? The source by global. Let me change the source to all. Let me see what happened there. Let me change the source to all and apply. Let me see what it's going to give me. So I still have 6 even for all as well. Then the language I've targeted is English, right? So that's why I have English here. Then the industry is streamlined to things that are related to IT industry, talks about annual subsidy receipt notice, DocuSign, share. Like this is actually a very good payload. I was working in an organization, an oil and gas firm, and they use a solution, DocuSign, to sign documents, instead of using the manual processes. Now imagine that I want to target the chiefs or the general managers here. I can use this particular payload, this DocuSign, that there's a document that is pending signature for them. So to see how many of them will be, be vigilant enough to see that, oh, this document was not sent by any of my reports, people that are reporting to me. Oh, it's actually very good. And you can see that the predicted compromise rate for this DocuSign is based on what Microsoft have seen, 27.23%. That's the predicted compromise rate. So, but that's not what I actually needed for now. Let me close it out. What I needed is Office 365 policies. So these are the things that are actually available. If I even remove all the filters, you will see that apply. So out of the 40 payloads, so I can look for the one in IT, or look at this now. So cyber threat information, but this is in Korean. So if I click on this cyber threat information, it will, once select it, it's in Korean. So it should not be useful for me to target my audience, right? But this cyber threat information here is actually, in English now, because I'm targeting the cybersecurity team. I can use this particular one. So let me see another one I can use. Block IPs in English. Though some of the payloads are in multiple languages. Okay, I'm just seeing them in just one language here. So this would have been very good for me, but it's not useful because of the language. So let me use my Office 365 security policies here. So by the time you select a particular payload, what is going to happen is that it's going to open how the payload looks like. It's an overview page. This is how the email that recipients will receive. This is how the email will look like, right? So to tell you the overview of the email, and under the overview, if you scroll down, it tells you some of the things about the payload descriptions, talking about the steps to fix the reported error through policy settings. So it tells them what is the from name. It's coming from Office 365 admin. So this is that it's coming from Microsoft. Then the email subject, Office 365 security policy settings. I'm very sure once our InfoSec people in InfoSec, they'll be triggered. Oh, what is this about? The click rates currently is at 0. The team is unknown, but the brand is Microsoft. So they use Microsoft to brand this particular payload. In terms of controversial, it is first, and the PCR that we mentioned is 15% for this. So the source is from Global. Then the from address now is a sender, right? And the industries are IT. Then the current event is a current event that is happening. So it's currently a false here. Then we check under attachments. Is there any email attachment here? So it's telling me that there's an attachment thing called policy settings, which is actually a doc. Then simulation launched. Has any simulation, an attack simulation, been launched with this particular payload? That's what this is talking about. Has any simulation been launched with this particular payload? So it's going to give you a list of all the simulation. But currently on this tenant, I've not launched any simulation with this particular payload. So once you're done, you've seen everything here, right? You can just close back this, then click on next. Now, for target users, right? So we can select, okay, this include all users in my organization. So this is when I want to select all the users in my organizations, right? But for this particular simulation, I'm targeting a group of users, right? So which is our InfoSec groups? What we just use that you can just say currently have 0 users, 0 group here. You can just click on add users here. So for under this add users here, it brings up this particular pane for you. So for this pane here, you can either select, maybe they're just 5 users in the cybersecurity department or the InfoSec department, right? You can just search for each of the users one after the other here, or if they have a group, back to this, or if they have a group, right, you can search by there's a tag for the users, you can use the tag to search. Then if users are not targeted by simulation in the last 3 months, you can select this. So maybe you've not used that. So these are just for you to be able to filter based on the users that you want to search for. Then which countries are the users in? Are they the users in your Nigeria, be able to select the country. Then the department of the users, okay, are they the IT team or engineering team? You'll be able to select that. Or also the title, maybe there are specific users that you want to actually, use the cloud administrator, the system admin, the technical support guys. You can also use that. So that's actually gives you the option, but I can clear this all now. Let me see if I can remember some specific users. Search, search another user. About history character, so I don't have that. Let me just select this, select the user. Bisiga Finance Group. Okay, our finance. I can select this group. So let's say I have the IT or InfoSec team, right? I'll just add it's asking me to add one after the order. Let me add myself here so you'll to see how it needs to look like. Okay. So I've added users. So if there are users, there are groups, that's how you add them. So I currently have a group and I have 2 users here. So once you've done that, just click on next. Right? So you have some specific users. Maybe it's shown by the targeted user. You said all users, but you want to exclude some users. Maybe you want to exclude the people in um the chiefs, maybe the CIO, the CTO. You want to exclude them in this particular simulation. You can just search for their names, right? Or use any of the tags, user tags, or use the country. You can use the department. You can even use the title of the users that you want to, exclude from the simulations, right? So once you've selected that, just click on next. Because I select that, so I have to select that. So, right, so just click on next because I'm not excluding anybody here. So training, in terms of assigned training, so it select training preferences, assignments, or you customize a landing page for these simulations. For the training preferences, so it's recommended you just use assigned training for me, which is the Microsoft recommended one. Or if you as an organization, you have a learning management portal where you have some trainings, right? For users, maybe an intranet site that has training materials available. It could be on Teams Viva, so you can select this option to add a course module yourself. I'm going to leave it as recommended. Then the due date, when the training should be due. So maybe your training, the simulation should end in 5 days. Then the training should end when? Since you want it to end 7 days after the simulation has ended, or you want it to end 15 days after the simulation has ended. The default was the 30 days after the simulation was ended. So based on any of these that click on it. So when do you want the training to be due for them? Then you click on next. So for here, it tells us to select a phishing landing page. So which of the landing page do we want to use? So under the global landing page. So for this particular social engineering techniques, Microsoft has 5 templates that you can select from. It tells you that they are ready, right? Why for the tenant landing page? So you can actually create your own custom landing page here, which you can actually create manually yourself. But I'm not going to do that right now. Let me close that. Go back to the global. So I'll just select any of the templates. So let me use templates 3 for these. So if you want to edit this payload also, you can actually edit it. Maybe you want to add to make the attack simulation emails look so genuine. Maybe it's coming from let's say you're targeting all your users in your organization with an email that should come from your HR. So you can actually browse to add your company's logo here. Once you add the company's logo here, so they'll see that, oh, this email actually came from our HR, right? Then you select default language, which is English for us here. So once you select that, then you can go next. So I didn't mention this. So in terms of, okay, let me go back a bit. So series reference, let's go next. So if you see that it says that use a custom URL option will not be displayed if payload are selected from malware attachment or link. So it tells you that. Then it also, you notice that this one is also grayed out to hide the payload indicators from for other social engineering techniques. That will not be actually be grayed out for you. See, indicators are not applicable to malware attachments and linked to manual techniques. I'll tell you what that means later. So let's click on next. So we'll mention end users notifications also, right, during our training. So how would the users be, be notified? Do you want to you don't want to deliver notifications? Yeah. So none of the notification will be delivered to the users. For these, Microsoft default notifications, which is recommended. So that means select a notification from Microsoft. Then customize end user notifications. If you want to customize your own notifications, right, you can also use it. So let me leave it as a Microsoft default notifications here. So it gives us different options. So the default language first. So I'm still going to leave that as English. Then for notifications. So for all these notifications, now what is important? If you see this I button here to view it, it's going to show you how the notification looks like, right? Preview the details here. So it tells you that description, positive reinforcement description for reporting a phishing email, and the source is global, and does not be modified, does not be lasting. Description type is a positive um, reinforcement notification. So it shows you how this is how the notification will look like. Congratulations on successfully spotting right phishing emails. So the user is going to get these notifications. So in terms of delivery preferences here, you have to select. Do you want to not deliver? You select this. Do you want to deliver after simulation ends? Right? You can select this. So when the entire simulation, you have configured simulation to end 7 days, right? That's when the notification will be delivered to all the users. Or you want it to be delivered when? Twice a week. Or do you want to deliver during the simulation? So the moment the person just click on, receive the email, whether or not the simulation has ended or not, the simulation will be delivered to the users. Then for in terms of training, maybe the users are click on the links or click on the attachments, right? So how often do you want the users to be reminded about their training? So how often do you want them to receive a training notifications? So twice a week or weekly. So I prefer to do it twice a week. Then once that is done, you click on next. So launch details. So launch details speaks to, do I want this simulation to be delivered, as soon as I'm done? So that means maybe I click on submit to be delivered to the users, or I want to schedule this simulation to be delivered later. So maybe I want to schedule all our simulations for the entire year. That these are the simulations we're going to do for our users. So I want to say schedule for first quarter, schedule for second quarter, schedule for the third quarter, and the last quarter of the year, right? So I can select the date here for the scheduled one. So when the precise date I want it to be done, I can select it. Then I can also select the time it should be launched, then the minutes, then I have the time format here. That's for the scheduled, but I want this to be launched as soon as I'm done. Then the number of days to end simulation after. So if I want 2 days, right? So after 2 days, simulation. So I don't want all the, maybe I have a lot of users in my organization. I want the email to be spread across. I don't just want just everything to be sent in one day. I want some emails to go out the 1, the 2, and the likes, right? Select that. Then if I want the solution to end in this particular day, let's say because I've selected 2 days and today is 5th. So that's why it's giving me the dates here. Then if I want to enable region aware time zone delivery. So based on the time zone of this tenant, that's what it's going to use. That's what this one is going to use based on the time zone of the tenant. So once I'm okay with the selections, I can click on next. So the next is just to review the simulation, everything I've configured. So I can review the simulation and review the simulation before you launched it. You can even send a test email. Once you send a test email, you're going to receive an email as the admin that is creating the simulation to see how the simulation will look like. Let me just click on it. Send a test email. So you see the test email, then you also see the real email also, which is also the same as the test email. The test email is just for you to see it first before submitting, basically. Then you're seeing the delivering platform is an email, technique is a malware attachment, then the name of the simulation is target infosec teams, right? The descriptions and all that. So the number of users. So once you're okay with everything, the payload that you selected, just click on submit. So this will just submit out these simulations. 1 second, so let me quickly begin my charger. My system is about to die. So it tells you that simulation has been scheduled to launch, right? To be sent out. So because I sent it to be launched immediately. So if you give it a few seconds, so let me go to my email. So once you're done here, you can view all payloads here, right? This will show you list of all the payloads that are available in the tenants based on, right? Based on the techniques, the language, and all that. It shows that to you. So let me go to my email so we can see how the users receive the email. Right, so this is the email of the submission I received. Are you seeing this email? Right. So it tells me the sender address. So all these domain are actually domain that Microsoft has actually bought. I have a lot of them for different attack simulation, right? So it tells me the sender, I'm able to see the sender to the recipient. So this is the email, the body of the email that looks exactly like how a Microsoft emails would look like. Then this is the attachment. Now, if the user click on this attachment now, right? So I'm going to, even though I'm not supposed to do this, so let me just for learning sake, let me click on this attachment now, right? So automatically in the back end, what is going to happen is that there's going to be a micro that is wrong, which I'm not supposed to actually click on it. Now, if I go back to my attack simulation training, go back to my the overview page, right? So this is the one I just created now. This one I just created. So if you give it some time, because I click on the attachment in the email, it's going to bring out the reports. So you see this is dropped. Let me see the training efficacy reports. So this basically gives me the people I targeted. Here I targeted for 7. So for this now, I targeted 3. So even though there's a group there, so I don't know how many users are inside that finance group are actually selected. So let me go back to the. So that's basically how you can create an attack simulation training, right? Now, if you come to the training tab here, so you can actually create trainings also for your users. You can create training. This one, you're not creating an attack simulation. You're creating a training for them to, go through, and at the end of the day, they will learn something. So under training, if you click on create new here, so you can put the training. Let me call it email compromise training. Email compromise, that's the name of the training. And paste it here, click on next. So who do I want to target for this training? I want to target all users in my organizations. So it show the list of all the users I have. If I go next, show me the list. So select all users and I say next. And it says exclude some of the target users. So there's users I want to exclude from this training. So I can just search for those users. So let me exclude this user for the training, select and have a user. And click on next. Now I have two options here for the training module. Do I want to select from the training catalog or redirect them to a custom URL? So like I mentioned, if as an organization you have a page where you have all your trainings for all your internal staff, you can select that custom URL and that's direct them to where they will take the training. When we select a training catalog here, then you can now add training. So this will show you different security training, right? That Microsoft made available. You see, security trainings are the best in-class training made available by Microsoft for you to train your professionals about security and compliance of organizations and helps in improving their behavior. So common attacks and rules. So you have different trainings are available. So you have 109 ready training that you can assign to your users. So you can say, okay, maybe every month you want to be assigning one training, or every week, or twice every month, or twice every week. You wanted to be doing one training at least. So for example, if you're in the finance industry that have to do that deals with card payments, so you can assign PCI DSS awareness training. Is a compliance training. So I'm just looking for a training on so let me search for email compromise. Maybe I'll see anything like email compromise here in the list of the training. So you can see business email compromise. So let me see, this is the training I want to assign. Then I can add it to the catalog. Then I will click on, so that's as it added. So it tells me the duration is coming from global. The duration is 7 minutes. So if I don't want to add it to the catalog, I can also remove it from the catalog. Remove from the catalog. So once I'm okay, I can say next. Yeah, so it tells me the trainings that that are available, right? So I'm able to see the default Microsoft training for training assignment notifications. So I'm able to see it. So these are the things that came with that particular option that I selected for email. Then again, how the delivery preferences here. So when do I want to deliver the training, twice weekly or every week? I'm able to see this. So for this, for sure, this will show what they will see, as what the users will actually, see in the email. The training came from security and compliance team to the users, training assignment notifications. So yeah, there'll be always a training, so not actually a phishing email for that. So once I'm okay, and also you can actually customize the end user notification if you want to customize that, but you leave it as a Microsoft default notification, which is recommended. Then click on next. Yeah. Also click on next. So you can launch the training as soon as you're done. If you want it to be launched immediately, and if it's a particular time also, you can select the date and the time you want them to have the training. So you can have it between November and December based on this. And you can also, let me move it to, so you can only have it in within 1 month. Yeah. So be able to select other stuff too with the training as well. So you can select the time of the training. So from there, once you're okay with that, You click on next. Oh, select a valid end date. Okay, it's because I selected it. Let me just leave that. So click on next. So if you want to send a test, you can send a test to yourself. It's just for you to confirm, all right? Just for you to confirm. Then once you're okay with everything, review everything that you've configured. The training is just 7 minutes training, and they'll be aware once it submits. So the user will receive the training. So they receive the email, the training, the duration of the training, they'll see there. So if there's anybody that have completed the training, be able to see the report. Yeah, so receive the email for the training. So this is how the email looks like. So tell me that the email is coming from my security and compliance team. Training has been assigned to you. So I can now go to training. So these are the training that have been assigned to me, right? This is the business email compromise training. 7 minutes. Right? So I'll just start the training. Start the training. So based on Microsoft's accessibility. So just start the training and I'm good. Once the training is complete, you're going to see the completion. Let me close this for now. So you'll be able to see all the trainings that you've created here. Then the one that is scheduled, the one that is currently in progress, you see that completed or failed. You'll be able to see all the trainings that you've created as the administrator of the tenant. Then for a report here, so the report is like the name implies, you're able to see reports around the simulation coverage. We saw that under our overview, right? To give you, can able to view the usage coverage. So how many users are simulated, how many are non-simulated, right? Be able to see that particular detail here. Then training completion, how many users has completed training, how many incomplete for the 7, how many completed 0 in progress. So you'll be able to see it as an admin, you can monitor that. Then for the repeat offenders, like I mentioned earlier too, so those that are, you've done simulation in this quarter, you did in next quarter or this month, next month, and these people keep falling, for the phishing email. So you'll be able to get those reports too to help see if you can, train the users. Then this talks about training in progress, completed. So you see if you can view your training completion report here, right? So takes you to, so they are actually linked to, each other there. So anyhow you do it, then repeated offenders, this takes you back to there. Then for behavioral impact on compromise rate as well. So this is also available for you under training efficacy here. So you see that particular report there as well. Now for automations, right? Now for automations, we have simulation automations as well as the payload automations. Now for simulation automations, they are automated flows with specific techniques and payloads that runs when the specified conditions are met and they launch the simulation. So as the name implies, you are creating an automations either for simulations or you're creating an automation for a payload, right? So when a particular condition is met, that automation it will actually launch automatically. So you already know based on your organization's security policies. So you can create an automation, a simulation automations, right? And I mentioned that simulation automations provide improvements over traditional simulation in the sense that they can include multiple social engineering techniques and related payloads, right? But for normal simulation, those can only contain one, either one social engineering and one payload. Then simulation automation also supports automated scheduling options more than just start date and end date in simulations, right? So that's one of the advantage for simulation automations. So again, if you want to create simulation automations, it's also available for you here in the attack simulation page. Once you select the automation, you can put the automation name. You can call it let me call it attack automation simulation. Attack automation simulation. So let me put it here, paste it, then click on next. So before you only have option to just check one, but here you can check multiple. You can check multiple of the social engineering techniques. But under normal simulation, you can only select one at a go. That's the difference. Here you can select multiple, then click on next. Then you can select multiple, payload as well, change password. So when a particular condition is met based on what you want to achieve, you select multiple. You can also randomize it as well, manually choosing payloads that you want to be in scope for the simulation to use. And you may manually select up to 20, or you can select randomize. And Microsoft will choose random payload to be in scope for the simulation. You can also map the login page for credential harvest or link in attachment techniques to a payload. So you can randomize Microsoft doing that for you. For manual selections, you're the one that can select up to 20, once you select that, let me leave it as randomized. Let Microsoft select for us. Click on next. So because I selected a particular period called apps, so I need to configure the apps name. I need to put in the logo. So let me go back and select that. Let me just select that. Randomize. So I can select all users or specific users. Let me leave it as all users. Then leave it as Microsoft default. Leave this also as default for 30 days. Then I will select template 5. So again, you can see how the template looks like when you preview it. So you're able to see. So you can even put in your company logo, just for it to make to look okay for you. So we have assigned this for you. Close that. And click on next. So select Microsoft default, and for end user notifications, so I can deliver after simulation end. Same thing here, quickly. Next. Then schedule to, you can also randomize this. Select the type of automation schedule you like to create. A randomized schedule will launch simulation as random within the schedule you create. A fixed schedule will launch simulation on the specific schedule you created. So let me randomize, then automation starts. So let me see, the automation will start here. So if I want to select any scope for it, I can select scope. Let me see, this will allow. Like it's requiring end dates. Let me put that end dates. Days of the week. Let me put Monday, Thursdays, and Friday. Should be number 1 to 10. Okay. All right. So in terms of automation scope, I can select the dates of the week, then the number of simulation that can start between that standing. So let me just put 9 simulations. But that's a randomized same times. Yeah, that wants to be random. So I've selected the end dates. I can click on next. So for launch details for this now, says configure additional settings for the automation. Use unique payload across simulation with an automation. So if you want that, you select that. Target all selected users in every simulation run. So this is target them. Target repeat offenders. So enter the number of maximum times I want to be targeted. So I can enter a time here. Then if I want to enable region await delivery, I can select that as well. So I can review, then submit. So I can just turn on the automation for this. If I want to turn it off, I can turn it off here. So if I want to go to all simulation, I can go there or click on done. So that will show me simulation. So the same way too, you can also create payload automation as well too. So just follow the prompt and you'll be able to create the payload automations. Our time is fast spent. We'll pick it up from here in our next class. Do you have any questions so far?
No questions.
Okay.
Straightforward.